Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we continue celebrating beef as May is Beef Month in Kansas. Scott Stebner talked with us from Kansas Beef Council. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and the weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association, and market information from Pinon. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com. In agriculture news, farm income and credit conditions in the 10th Federal Reserve District tightened in the first quarter of this year. That, according to a survey of agricultural credit conditions, farm incomes retracted at a sharp pace, and farm loan repayment rates declined at a modest pace, and loan demand rose notably. Conditions tightened comparatively more in states with greater reliance on crop revenues and in more cattle-heavy areas. As lenders entered the renewal period for annual operating loans, the loan denial were very limited, but many reported an uptick in carryover debt and loan restructuring to meet liquidity needs. Contingents of the U.S. farm economy have tightened along with lower prices for many key products and higher financing costs. Many lenders highlighting growing concerns about deterioration in working capital as a result of those low prices, particularly for crop producers. Now, strength in cattle prices, though, supporting incomes for many cow-calf producers. A large share of banks also reporting higher loan demand following multiple years of subdued credit utilization, a sign that the strength in farm finances built up in recent years has now moderated. A continuation of subdued crop prices, though, through 2024 would likely drive further tightening in ag credit conditions, and elevated interest expense could put some additional pressure on farm borrowers. House Ag Committee Chair Glenn G.T. Thompson has released a more detailed title-by-title overview of his proposal for the next farm bill. Folks like the National Circle Producers say the chairman had been consistent in his messaging that the farm bill must be highly effective for producers, and by any measure, the framework makes some strides on behalf of American farm and ranch families. This full overview includes many key provisions like increasing the statutory reference price by 10 to 20% for all covered commodities in Title I. His proposal increases the ag risk coverage guarantee to 90% of the benchmark revenue and expands the maximum band to 12.5% for both ARC-IC and ARC-CO. It also increases the marketing loan rates for most commodities. Sorghum producers and other organizations continue to sort through the details in the coming days, as a full draft could be coming anytime. Thompson says he has a markup scheduled for May 23rd for the House version of that farm bill. And K-State's crop judging team continued a successful run at the North American College and Teachers of Agriculture Judging Conference recently. It captured its 15th title in the last 26 years at the spring competition. The team also posted a first. They placed first in the Knowledge Bowl competition, making it the first ever win in that separate contest. Landon Trout, a junior from Scott City, the individual national champion of the crop contest, capturing individual wins in 3 categories, that being lab practice, agronomic exam, and math practical. Then second place in another, plant and seed identification. K-State seniors Ashley Chandler of Neodesha and Renee Sinclair of Alamosa, Colorado, placed 3rd and 4th, respectively. Chandler was also 2nd in exam as well as math. K-State beat 22 teams to win the crop judging. Iowa State, the runner-up. University of Wisconsin, placed 3rd. The other members of the K-State crops judging team, Quentin Benia of Pilsen, Leno Caldiero of Greenville, Illinois, Carson Orpin of Canton, and Molly Kane of Paola. Congratulations to all. We'll celebrate Beef Month in Kansas with the Kansas Beef Council. We returned on the Kansas Ag Report.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com.
And welcome back. May is Beef Month, and we are going to talk about that with Scott Stebner, who is Executive Director of the Kansas Beef Council. Scott, here we are continuing to celebrate beef, and you and I mean, I grill year round, but it's always good because we really focus at least 1 month on beef, and there's a lot of celebrations. There's a lot of different things going on. Some of the broadcast things that we do, we give away beef certificates or give away drafts of beef to help tell that story. So what we want to do now, earlier in the show, earlier this month, we talked about kind of the consumer angle and all those things, which are very important. But let's now talk about the checkoff, which funds the Beef Council, the majority of it. That starts with those producers, those that are in the business. So talk about how those investments are made and where are they kind of going right now?
Yeah, so once again, with the act in order that started in the 80s to really help push beef demand forward, which is a primary goal here in Kansas, is increasing beef demand through research, education, and promotion. Our about 27 beef producers, volunteer beef producers, are really guiding the promotion, research, and education efforts of the Kansas Beef Council. So 50% of that dollar stays within the control of Kansas, and the 50 cents is going to go to the Cattlemen's Beef Board, which is under the, decisions and guidance of the Cattlemen's Beef Board and the Beef Promotion Operating Committee. And I'm really proud of some of those things that our executive committee here in Kansas has decided to fund. And that can be things like reaching sporting fans and tailgate fans at K-State, where they decided that we should become the official tailgate partner of Kansas State football. And it was great to see efforts on that and really make beef synonymous with football there. And those K-State beef hats that we see that helped raise over 4,600 servings of beef for local food pantries. To things like really reaching consumers where they are. We know that most people under the age of 35 have become cord cutters. And so we're getting millions of video views on digital streaming platforms of pro-beef information and commercials to consumers through subscription apps like Hulu or any of the other things, Roku, Google Chrome, you name it, to even helping promote beef abroad through the U.S. Meat Export Federation, and really looking at getting beef into especially variety cuts of beef like tongue and tripe into other countries, specifically Japan and Korea, or livers to places like Egypt, and once again, tripe and tongue down into Mexico as well, which really fetch top dollar in those markets, whereas it's hard to sometimes even give those away locally.
Right, and I know other countries, those are almost delicacies to them, and so it's a great market. And research was done by several different checkoffs to really say how this is going to work. U.S. Meat Export Federation, another great partner to make sure that works. And so that's really one of the keys, Scott, is partnerships as well. So let's hold that thought. We're going to take a break. Scott Stebner, Executive Director of the Kansas Beef Council, is joining us as we celebrate beef. May is Beef Month in Kansas. We're going to talk about those partnerships also moving forward. We'll do that in just a moment.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
And Scott Stebner is Executive Director of the Kansas Beef Council, as May is Beef Month, and we're talking, investments of the checkoff and how that fuels, also those investments that are made to help promote beef in Kansas. When we went to break, we talked about some of those partners like the U.S. Meat Export Federation, but really there are a number of different groups, even here in Kansas, that kind of help you tell that story.
Yeah, there are many different organizations that are really grassroots as well. And once again, going back to the U.S. Meat Export Federation, there are beef councils across the country that invest in that. Every dollar that we invest in there also has some governmental matches to it and sometimes some commodity group matches. So it's really a way to increase the value of that dollar, especially as it goes to overseas and some of those countries that are paying top dollar for tongue, tripe, you name it. And I think that ROI is above $20 for every return on every dollar invested overseas. So that continues that way. But we continue to have a great partnership with local commodity organizations. For example, Kansas Corn Commission has helped us in numerous ways, partnering to really get information to high school students and high school teachers, whether it's culinary arts and teaching about how beef is produced and how to cook beef, or even things like STEM programs. We have a really great STEM program that is a 3-part reader series that we hope is not just going to be distributed to urban students here in Kansas, but also across the country as well.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the future. You know, a few more days left of May, Beef Month, and kind of specific promotions, but there are promotions. And what else is kind of in the pipeline? What should folks kind of look for to come out of the checkoff moving forward?
Well, everything we do is founded in research. So every quarter we ask consumers a myriad of different things. Do you have any concerns about beef production? What's going to get you to purchase beef more frequently? What are things that you're needing? And constantly it is, we need easy to make recipes. The average consumer spends less than 30 minutes preparing their meals. So we've teamed up with some Midwestern chefs that are developing recipes for the Midwestern audience, and they are absolutely wonderful. And it fits that about 10 ingredients or fewer, 30 minutes or less sweet spot for them as well. So we have plenty of those coming up. We have our K-State partnership that's coming up. So if anyone is going to be tailgating, make sure that you have beef on the grill in your tailgate, and hopefully our tailgate crew can find you, and we can get you entered into the contest to win free box tickets at the end of the season.
Sure, sounds great. All right, Scott, so how can folks learn more about what's going on with the beef checkoff, maybe recipes, other things that are happening?
The easiest way is going to be to go to kansasbeef.org, and you'll be able to see nutrition tips, how to cook beef, recipes, and some of the programming updates that we're doing if you're a producer and want to see more about it. Or then go to beefitswhatsfordinner.com for those recipes.
All right, Scott, as always, appreciate taking the time. I know you got a busy month, but glad you could visit with us. And again, encourage folks to learn more and make sure beef is at the center of the plate. It's a good thing. So we'll talk to you again soon, Scott. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Scott Stabner, the Executive Director of the Kansas Beef Council, has joined us. May is Beef Month here in Kansas. We'll take a break and back with more in a moment.
Anything I can help you locate today?
Yeah, I'm looking for some grass seed, but I can never figure out which type to buy.
At Premier Farm and Home, you can pick your grass seed out of a field instead of off a shelf.
Really? You can do that?
At Premier, you can.
That'd be great.
Let me take you to our plots.
Everyone has lawn problems. At Premier Farm and Home, we see it as an opportunity to earn your trust.
This is so helpful.
Only place in the Midwest.
With each problem we help you solve, you'll gain confidence and find that no one can take care of your lawn like you can.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm an agronomist at K-State, and today we're going to dissect a corn seed and talk about its different parts. So when we're talking about corn seeds, each of them has 3 different parts that are really important. The first is protection on the outside of the seed to keep it safe. That's called the seed coat, and it's really hard to make sure that the seed doesn't get damaged. The second part is what's called endosperm. It's on the inside and it's food for that plant when it starts growing. The last part is the embryo, which is the living part that actually turns into the plant. And the really cool thing about corn seeds, there's a lot of really cool things about corn seeds, but one of my favorite parts is the fact that when we put that seed in the ground, there are already 4 to 5 leaves that are developed on that tiny little embryo that's in the seed. It already has 4 to 5 leaves on it already. So all the leaves you see on this little plant here were already developed in the seed when that seed went in the ground. And if we cut a seed open, like I've already done here, we can see the white starchy part, which is the food that plant will use. And then the darker area is the embryo, which is where the tiny baby plant is. And that's what the different parts of a corn seed are.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Caden Weltmer's first 3 words were mom, dad, and tractor. That combined passion for agriculture and family has never wavered as he worked on the family operation, took on leadership roles in 4-H, and competed in FFA. Now a high school senior, his continued commitment to studying agriculture at Kansas State University and his plans to return to the family operation following college make him an ideal recipient for the 2024 Herb Clutter Memorial Scholarship administered by the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. The Herb Clutter Memorial Scholarship was established in 2009 to honor Herb Clutter's influential role in organizing leadership groups on behalf of Kansas wheat producers and is supported by the generosity of the Herb Clutter family. Herbert W. Clutter was a farmer in Holcomb and the first president of the National Association of Wheat Growers, which was established in 1948. Clutter encouraged Kansas wheat farmers to organize as a strong, unified voice, which led to the formation of the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers in 1952. He encouraged research and education and industrial uses of wheat, improved variety development, and methods to produce the best product at their lowest cost. Clutter's efforts led to the formation of the Kansas Wheat Commission by the Kansas legislature in 1957. Like Clutter, Weltmer grew up working on his family farm. On the family operation in Smith Center, they raise wheat, corn, soybeans, sorghum, in addition to a cow-calf herd, a registered Angus cow herd, and a registered Boer goat herd. Weltmer is already putting his lifetime of experience to work by cash renting 93 acres of his own ground from his grandfather. He wrote in his application essay, "I found my passion at a young age and I am excited to gain knowledge, connections, and experiences and return to Smith County to do what I love, to maintain a sustainable operation and help strengthen our local community." Learn more about the Herb Clutter Memorial Scholarship at kswheat.com/clutter.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Michael and Amber Spears' fifth-generation family farm consists of no-till cropland and a cow-calf herd. Their diversified cropland includes wheat, corn, soybeans, cotton, milo, and hay. Through changing fertilizer methods and grid soil sampling, the Spears are working to maximize fertilizer efficiency and reduce fertilizer runoff. The Spears hope to one day pass the operation down to their kids, Ellie and Weston. The Spears have been active members of Sedgwick County Farm Bureau and Kansas Farm Bureau. Michael serves on the County Board of Directors as the Vice President and the YF&R Committee as co-chair. Amber is the chairperson for the YF&R Leadership Conference. The Spears were the 2022 Young Farmer and Rancher of the Year award winners. Michael and Amber are passionate about donating to their local food bank. They are also active members in their church and serve on committees and volunteer. They support Farm Bureau because they believe it is the voice of agriculture. They look forward to working with their county and state farm bureau to fight for large and small farmers alike.
Kansas Farm Bureau's Agricultural Reporting Award recognizes journalists who've helped bring the story of Kansas farmers and ranchers to life with timely and accurate reporting on issues affecting agriculture. This year, broadcast and print journalists submitted a record number of entries that were judged by Kansas Farm Bureau members and staff. For Best Audio-Video Feature, the winner is Pilar Pedraza of Cape for her in-depth look at how farmers and ranchers are dealing with water shortages and drought. In Best Audio-Video News Story, KSN's Samantha Boring receives top honors for highlighting how farmers adapted to drought during the spring planting season. For the print feature category, Faye Smith is the winner for featuring the stories of two families who suffered devastating losses in the four-county fire for the Angus Journal. In Best Print News Story, Macy Mueller's Kansas Stockman article took the top prize for explaining how the Asian longhorn tick could impact the beef industry. Congratulations, and thank you to these journalists for helping share the stories of farmers and ranchers in Kansas.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest